The Philippines. Oh, I don't have a clicker. Oh, I don't have a clicker. I do not have a clicker. Throw it. Long shot. Today's Super Bowl, Sunday. Ah, not really. Yeah, it's more like. Thank you, sir. Oh, I would lost it too. That's okay. All right, here we go. All right, we have some catch-ups on the birthdays since we did not have a service last week, and I so want this snow to be over. Guys, we need to really be praying for the command these temperatures to stay up, at least for a few weeks, because I want to be able to get off my hill, and I want to be able to fly out of here. All right, so, and Reggie needs to get up and down my hill while she's taking care of my animals. So we need to command for the temperatures to stay up. Okay, Stacy Haba, we missed her birthday, but so we'll give you another happy birthday. It was last Sunday on January 26th, and we could give a shout out to Chris. His birthday was Wednesday, January 29th. And we have Mr. Travis. His birthday was just this past Saturday. That would have been yesterday. Happy birthday. And Liana's birthday is this coming Saturday. Happy birthday, Liana. A lot of birthdays. All right. Okay, and once again, we are leaving very early. Our flight leaves at 6 a.m. on Thursday, and so we will be arriving at the airport around 4:30 a.m. So just, you guys, please continue praying for us, keeping us in your prayers, all right? And of course, we, going on, this is Mission Sunday. We are still in need of some travel expenses and all that good stuff for the trip. And however, I do have to mention that we need to remember today, and we prayed for them earlier, and I hope that you guys are going to continue to pray for them, that Jan and Ronnie Easter are at the Linz Creek Church this morning, and they are presenting their presentation on behalf of ODMI, on behalf of our missions. And I believe that this is not a one and only thing. I believe that the door is going to open up for us, for others to go and others to speak on behalf of the missions, and to help bring an increase to not only God's kingdom but to the finances for ODMI. Right now we have a terrible situation in Kenya. As most of you who are on Facebook have probably saw, that the famine is so great there that they are actually eating their pets right now. That's how bad, because there is no meat, there's no food, there's nothing, and it's to the point to where either you're going to starve or you're going to have to eat your pet. And I just want y'all to ponder on that, because we get so wrapped up in what we want to happen here in our lives, and we get so wrapped up on how bad our country is. And I'm going to tell you right now that you live in a blessed nation. You live in a blessed nation, and don't forget that we have blessings beyond. We pamper and spend more money on our pets than what people have to feed themselves in other countries. And, and all of us, I'm not saying that, not to do that. I have pets of my own, and I love my pets, but it's just a perfect example of how blessed we are that we have such an overflow that we can do that. Okay, even the poorest in America is nowhere near the poverty level of what we're looking at right now in some of these other countries. Okay, and I just want that awareness to be there. My thing is, all the time when I say the bread blessing before we eat, is that, thank you for the blessings that you have bestowed upon us, and help us to bless others. And that's the mentality that we need to have, and we need to understand, folks, that, it's not pretty out there right now. We need to understand that, God will perfect that which concerns us when we live according to His Word, and according to His Word is we need to reach out and love what He calls the least of these. Okay, so let's remember that. And Omar and Nancy is going to be doing the clinic ministry for us the next 2 weeks. They were there Friday morning, and we showed them the ropes and the coffee, and so I think that they're ready. Okay, all right, and now this is exciting. I will be here this Tuesday night, since it's on Tuesday and not Wednesday, and I'm going to be bringing Ben with me, and any of you who want to be here, actually we need to be here because this debate is going to be absolutely awesome, and it would be great for like Michaela, if Michaela needs to come. I think that Abigail could glean from it. You know, some of the children, Rusty, you definitely need to be here. Callie needs to be here. You know, we need to get our children here for this, guys, okay? This is educational, and this is biblical, and this is something that they need to learn from, and us as adults, we need to be here as well. This is going to be very exciting that we have this opportunity, and so come and be part of this Tuesday, and I'm saying that to tell you that there's no Bible study on Wednesday, okay? We're going to have Tuesday service instead, no Bible study on Wednesday. All right. Yes, yes. So we need to be here and support it because we're probably going to have a lot of guests as well. All right, and I just want to get through these announcements really quick because there's some things I want to discuss with you really fast. But Yeshua's Treasures, we know that we have our Purim and Passover combo ticket going on right now, and so you need to get with Jen on that. I'm excited about the Purim theme this year. I don't know, you know, when God gives me a theme like that, it takes me a while to figure out how it's going to come out of my mouth. And I say it, but it's in my spirit right now, and it is religion is black and white, ... but as the diamond turns. And I think that that's where the church needs to be right now, is we need to realize that things are not black and white. And look at the, you know, and meaning diamond God and all of his facets. And so, you know, it's going to be an awesome service, Purim is this year. I'm excited about the theme of Purim. Okay, Treasure of the Month is still 50% off on all t-shirts. You guys need to buy some. Apparently there's still too many in there. So 50% off on all t-shirts. This is your time to get your Shomer t-shirt, and the Curtis t-shirt that we have back there is a really awesome one. All right, and you all know about the earrings. Now, I want to just bring this up really quick. This is what happens when you support our gift shop, okay? Yeshua's Treasures, we needed Bibles for the clinic. And when you guys purchase from our gift shop, then in return, there's extra money there for the ministry, okay? And actually, our gift shop tithes. And from the time that we started tithing, that's not what I want. What did I do with that paper? Here it is. Okay, I got it. Okay, our gift shop gave in tithes $1,176. Okay, and not only that, but they were also able to purchase 2 cases of Bibles for the clinic. So once again, I say, don't be so petty that you're trying to save $1 or $2 and you order online because you think it's cheaper. If there's anything that you want concerning anything that's Jewish or the music that you want, even if we don't have it, check with Jim because more than likely we can get it. Okay, so support Yeshua's Treasures. All right, it's a good thing. I'm excited about that. Let's give another hand clap. And everybody, we talked to you about the Christmas mission, and you know what that's about the Christmas Club account. Get with Jen on that if that's something you're interested in. It's a little bit easier if you give it monthly rather than all at one time when at the end of the year we need it, okay? So get with her, and I strongly urge that to happen. All right, Saturday, no, Tuesday. 10 a.m. intercessory prayer, and Sunday 9:30 a.m. here. Now, what I want to do on the teaching, before the teaching, I'm going to try to explain something to you. I don't have a slide. I don't have one of the Hebrew names today. I have something that's been on my heart for a while, and I'm going to, before I leave for the Philippines, I want to share it, okay? One day I'm going to do a message about this. I just have to have the time to do it. and once again, get it out of my spirit and be able to articulate it is a whole other thing. A while back, I made the comment about how I believe that we are living in what I call a zombie generation. Does everybody remember that? Did that stick with you when I said that? Because it should. And I want to explain what I mean by a zombie generation, because I'm not just talking about drug addictions, okay? Every year, for quite some time, God has given us a theme for Rosh Hashanah, and it's been where I believe that whether the year is right or not, it's not the point. The point is He's speaking to us on where we need to be spiritually. Every year, that's what He has done. And it has been from sonship, growing and maturing in the Word, to a time of where the door is open for us to be at a level to where we are now reaching out to others and bringing an increase to His kingdom. Does everybody understand that, how important that is? Okay, I want to try to explain something the best I can here right now. I truly believe, and I've preached it year after year, that we're coming to a time where there's a magnetic pull. And there's going to be a time when there's not going to be any more fence sitters. Okay? And when I say that I believe that we are living in a time of a zombie generation, it's because I believe that this is going to grow more and more and more. And it's basically where somebody no longer has control of their own thought life. And we kind of see this to a degree, and it's not the same, so don't take me wrong on this. When someone goes in to a nursing home or what have you, and they get older, when we are at the age right now, we have control. You know, people say there's only it's only the devil or God, and that's not true, because you have your own intellect, and you have your own mind, and you can control over right now who are you going to listen to. Are you going to listen to God, or are you going to listen to the enemy? Okay? And then what happens when we get older is whatever it is that we have put in us the most is going to outweigh that. And there's going to be a time when we no longer have control. I mean, I'm hopefully not. I have the mind of Christ, and I'm not saying this, but at times when you see as someone grows older and they don't have control of their mind, and all of a sudden they say things that you didn't think they would ever say. And it's because our mind is like a computer. It's in there somewhere. Okay, I think that we all can say that to a certain degree, because of our past, that in the language that we've listened to over the years, and the TV and what have you that we have allowed to put into our mind, that things come to our mind that we don't always speak out of our mouth. Okay, why? Because we have control of that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, do you have an understanding of that? Let's come back to not looking at someone who is elderly, but let's look at the generation that we're living in. I believe that we are living in a time when we truly need to put as much of God in us as we can. And the reason why is because what you're going to see in that magnetic pull is people that it may look totally out of character. They're going to be doing things that you would think, well, I can't believe that they did that. And you see it all over the place right now. And it's not just people that have drug addictions. I mean, all over the world right now, and especially in our nation, you see where all the shootings, all of these things that you're seeing in the news, and these horrific deaths, these horrific, things that are going on in the news where, mothers are killing their children, and you see I don't have to go through all of it. You can just watch the news and see. And I really believe that we are living in a zombie generation where people are going to no longer have control of their mind. Does that make sense to you? And the reason why is because there's not going to be any fence sitters. And you need to make sure that you are putting the Word of God in you, and most importantly, that your motivations are love, and that you have that mercy, because I have seen that probably the most evil spirit out there is the religious spirit. Okay? The religious spirit is the one that can tell a young mother, and we've seen this in the news, that, you know, your children have demons in them, so you have to take them out. Well, how can a mother do that? Because she's not in her right mind. Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying this to put fear in you. I'm saying I truly believe that we live in a zombie generation. And since when? You know, and I've had people look at me and laugh at me because I say that, because they think of the zombies walking around. But, you know, whatever is going on in the spiritual, it goes on in the natural. And since when have we had such a craze of zombies? And do you think it's just a coincidence and it's no big deal and it's harmless? Because it's cool, because everybody is into zombies? No, it's a spiritual attack. It's a spiritual attack. But the thing is even though the enemy is on, and we've talked about this before in the past, even though the enemy is on a rise, then and evil is on a rise, then so is God, and so is good. And this is why this is the year of open doors. You can't, folks, you can't hide in your homes and think that, you know, well, I'm just not going to go out, and I'm just not going to do this, and I'm not going to communicate with anybody, and I've had enough of church, I've had enough of this and that. Do you know there's such a complacency within the church today? And why is that? Because we are living in a zombie generation. And the enemy wants to control your thought life. And you have to know that greater is God. And the only way to overcome this is for you to want to be able to bring an increase to God's kingdom. It can't just be about your knowledge. It can't just be about what all you want to do as a Christian. No. It's about bringing an increase. It's about reaching the lost. It's about walking in love and mercy and humility. It's about being that dying star. And this is where the church needs to be right now. We need to be that light. You know, I'm not saying this once again to put fear in you, but to have awareness, because I truly believe that this is what's going on. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, video. But does that make sense? Okay, let's watch the video. I don't know if it's really the right timing for the video now after that, but
Denial of evolution is unique to the United States. Evolution is the fundamental idea in all of life science. It's very much analogous to trying to do geology without believing in tectonic plates.
The word science means knowledge. You can divide science into historical science, that's talking about the past, or observational science, that builds our technology.
Billions of years explains so much of the world around us. If you try to ignore that, your world just becomes fantastically complicated.
The way to convince kids about evolution is you don't teach them to think critically, don't teach them the difference between historical science and observational science. You just want to make sure they only hear about evolution, and that's it.
You know, in another couple centuries, that worldview, I'm sure, just won't exist.
okay, so that debate is this Tuesday evening, and once again, it's a perfect example. Evolution is the beginning of zombieism. It really is. That's right. Okay, and you guys laugh at me, but I'm telling you this is serious. Spiritually, it's very, very serious.
If everybody will stand with me for opening prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for giving us our minds and the ability to think. And we all join together to ask you to do the influencing to us and with us on how we think and how we act. How can we overcome other people's wrong thoughts? How can we protect ourselves from having wrong thoughts ourselves? Only through you. So we lift you up, asking as always for you to make a difference in our lives and the people around us. Help us to see clearly with your eyes, because not everything we see is real as to what we actually see. We don't have your understanding. Help us to believe and understand your word. Help us to see what's real and what's not real. Give us the ability to discern what's good and evil. Give us the ability to discern what we need to do each day. Give us the ability to balance out our lives. Time spent with you, time spent with our families, and time spent trying to make a living. Strengthen us against the obstacles in our lives. Thank you for the blessings and the successes that we do have, and help us to help others. Be with our people while we're gone, and be with us while we're away. Help us to make an impact on everyone we meet, the impact that you would have us make. Let everything be above board, and help us to light a fire of desire for you across the world. In Jesus' name, only you give us our strength, and we thank you for that. Amen.
Just really quick, your foundation is love. Your tool against the enemy is love, mercy, and compassion. You guys can't physically change anyone, but you could show them the love of God, and then He will change them. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshenu berid v'rakav v'natan lanu et Yeshua, mishkanu v'tzivanu lahiyot ola olam. Blessed art thou, Lord our God, King of the universe, who has sanctified us with his word, and who has given us Yeshua, Jesus, our Messiah, and commanded each and every one of us to be a light unto the world. Congregational dancing, Maria and Kayla are going to minister a song that they're going to minister in the Philippines.
I'd like to say it is a privilege to speak for the Lord today and to you about Him. This, the praise and worship songs has really touched my heart. The who would we be in reverence of and in awe of, and who would we fear if we really realized that that one particular person, that one particular entity would save us from a devil's hell? Just to put it like the old-time preachers would say, that if we had that revelation, we would be praising God from the rooftops, so to speak, and from the depths of our hearts. But wanted to thank whoever chose the music this morning, that was, everything was right on target, I believe. Well, I want to talk a little bit first here about Isaiah. I guess if I had a title for what I'm going to talk about today, would be, is it really important that we have a calling? Is it really important that we would be told by God that we have an assignment? And I hardly know how else to put it, but Isaiah, it was over 700 years before Jesus came on the scene that Isaiah was asking in it's recorded in his 53rd chapter. You might want to look at it or read it on the board there. I'm going to read from the New International Version, and it will be pretty close to the New King James. He was asking the question, who has believed our report? Who believed my message that I give you? And to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? Then he went on to explain through some of the most recognized prophetic scriptures that's about Jesus from 53:2 through 12. He said, did you believe my report when I was telling you about he grew up? There's going to be a time and you're going to see him. He's talking to the audience then as a people. He grew up before him like a tender shoot and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows, and he was familiar with suffering, like one from whom men hide their faces. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he took up our infirmities, and he carried our sorrows. Yet we considered him stricken by God, smitten by him, and afflicted. But he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. This is important. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and it was by his wounds that we are healed. We all like sheep have gone astray. Each of us has turned to his own way, and the Lord has led on him the iniquity. Just think, we deserved it, but God laid it on him. the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before their shearers is silent, so he did not open his mouth. By oppression and judgment he was taken away, and who can speak of his descendants? For he was cut off from the land of the living for the transgressions of my people. He was stricken for them. He was assigned a grave, and the wicked, and with the rich in his death, though he had done no violence, nor was there any deceit in his mouth. Yet it was the Lord's will to crush him and curse him to suffer. And though the Lord makes his life a guilt offering, he will see his offering and prolong his days. And the will of the Lord will prosper in his hand. After the suffering of his soul, he will see the light of life and be satisfied by the knowledge. He will be satisfied by the knowledge of righteous. Servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities. Therefore, I will give him a portion among the great, and he will divide the spoils with the strong, because he poured out his life unto death. They thought they were going to take it, but he gave it. And he was numbered with the transgressors, for he bore the sin of many, and many intercessions for transgressors. Isaiah is regarded as about the greatest of all the pre-Messianic prophets. His name means salvation of Jehovah. He spoke things that was everlasting. You may want to jot them down, because I'm not going to read all of them. Some of the everlasting things, he focused on 7 in his writings here. In Isaiah 26:4, trust in the Lord forever. In Yahweh, the Lord is everlasting strength. Now, Isaiah 33:14, he spoke of the everlasting judgment. In Isaiah 35:10, he spoke of the everlasting joy. 45:17, he references everlasting salvation. He promised everlasting salvation, and how we can have it. In 54:8, he listed the everlasting kindness. He has mercy, saying, the Lord, our Redeemer. That was one of the dance songs that was really spoke. We are the part of creation that can be redeemed. I don't think there's any other part of creation that can be redeemed except man. Isaiah 53 or 55 and 3 was the covenant that he makes is everlasting. He doesn't back up. And number 7 is in Isaiah chapter 60 and 19, everlasting light. It says the sun and the moon will fail, but God's light is forever. It's everlasting, his light. Now, over 100 years later, Ezekiel, given the task of a watchman, like Isaiah, God called him. Now, Ezekiel was a little bit different than Isaiah, though a lot of the same things was told, but Ezekiel was a little more straightforward. He was pretty straight. In in Ezekiel 33 and 7. Let's go with let's go here with Ezekiel 3:17 first. He says, "Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. So hear the word I speak and give them warning from me." He warned through prophecy. He explained to them what was going to happen, and he explained to them some of the things that they did, not some, but very graphically a lot. And he warned them, told them that now all these things are going to happen to you. Of course, they was already in captivity when Ezekiel was preaching to them most of the time, and he was explaining how the glory was going to depart the temple, and how the judgment of the leaders was going to come about, that false prophets, how they were condemned, and the idolaters were they were condemned. They were you have someone there that's supposed to be a like Ezekiel, a watchman, but see, the leaders of the community, the leaders of the children of Israel, the leaders in the Hebrew nation, they had become false. They'd gone their own ways. They got to following other things. Other things were their God beside Yahweh. He called Ezekiel in 3 and 16 and 17. He said, "Son of man, I've made you a watchman for the house of Israel. So hear the word I speak and give them warning from me." And then he explained, he said, when there's a wicked man and he's doing something wrong, see, this is a leader's job. This was the leaders of Israel's job. And Ezekiel was underlining it here, I think. He said, God told me that if I see a wicked one among you that's doing something wrong and I don't tell you about it, it might hurt your feelings when I tell you, hey, you point the finger and say you need to measure up in this area. But if I don't do that, you're going to suffer. You're going to miss the kingdom of heaven. You're going to miss it. But I'm going to be responsible for your sin. But the Lord told me that if I'm faithful to tell you, just have enough courage to stand up on my feet and to tell you what God's told me to tell you, that you need help. You need to straighten up. You need to follow me, Yahweh, the only one and true God. Don't worry about self. Then, if you go ahead and disobey and you don't straighten up, you'll still suffer the judgment of the evil, but I will be saved. And he was trying to make it real clear to them that the leaders had failed. So in Ezekiel 33 and 7, he's at it again. He says, let me get over here in 33:7. Says, the word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, speak to your country. Speak to them. Speak to the people in your country. And say to them, when I bring the sword against a land, and the people of the land choose one of their men to make him a watchman, and he sees the sword coming against the land and blows the trumpet to warn, and the people, then if any hears the trumpet, does not take warning of the sword that comes to take his life, his blood will be on his own head. Ezekiel again, he's telling them, now here's what God's told me. Now if I tell you, you might not like it, but I'm telling you now that what God says, I'm going to tell you. And Ezekiel very graphically, if you'll read all of the book of Ezekiel, you'll be surprised at just what all the things that he explained to them and told them. Like Pastor has told us so many times, she doesn't see why we need to read the latest novel or the most exciting thing that's out there. We have exciting, breathtaking things that's being told in Scriptures, and the men of God have put them down for a reason. It's for a warning. It's to keep us and on the right side. So he spoke the word. He gave the warning. Now, we can go forward in time to 30 years after Jesus arrives and see what Luke says. Now, Luke, he was it said that he was a physician. Let's turn to, let's go to Luke 13, I think it is. Or Luke 13. Let's go to 14 first. And see what he says. He records some things that Jesus was making a point here in 8 through 13. Well, let's do 14 and 1 through 6 first. It says, on the Sabbath, when Jesus went to eat at the house of a prominent Pharisee, he was being carefully watched. There in front of him was a man suffering from dropsy. Jesus asked the Pharisee and the experts of the law, is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath or not? But they remained silent. So taking hold of the man, he healed him and sent him away. Then he asked them, if one of you has a son or an ox that falls into a well on the Sabbath day, will you not immediately pull him out? And they had nothing to say. Now, Jesus was trying to make a point to them to just have a little sense. Don't be so uptight. Don't, like Pastor says, this spirit of religion is terrible. We're supposed to exercise a little bit of what God gave us, as we call common sense or horse sense, or just plain old smart. If if I see someone hurt, I'm not going to stop and start saying, well, I'm going to pray and say, oh God, can I help him, or should I not? Or is someone else going to come and help me? Oh, tell me, give me direction. I know you can lead and guide me in everything. That religious spirit will let someone die when we can help them. What if the EMTs, at these accidents, if they were as religious as the Pharisees were, they'd say, well, I don't know, maybe someone will come. Let us pray about this. Let's see if we're supposed to go and help these people or not. That's a point he was trying to make. Then he went in 8 through 13. He was telling them there, it's better to be humble than to be humbled. It was the story about how the people come in and to a party, and they get, the ones that we call the beautiful people, the ones that come in and they're dressed in the $500 suits, and now it's $1,500, but they come and they have positions and they have titles, and they come in and they sit at the head of the table, or as close to the head of the table as they can. Well, let's get up here close to the dignitaries, and we will discuss the important things of life. And then here comes the master of the party, the one that called it, and some of his friends come that he really wanted close to him, and he has to ask you to move. And then you have to go back in the children's section where they have the TV set up. You can't even be in the main room. And he said it's a whole lot better you come in and you take a humble seat. So he was trying to explain that to them. Then on down in Luke 14, 16 through 24, this is really a story of tragedy, because here he has this great banquet. It's called the parable of the great banquet. And doesn't take much imagination to see what he's talking about. And we can start there at 16. A certain man was preparing a great banquet, and he invited many guests. At the time of the banquet, he sent his servants to tell those that had been invited to come, for everything is ready. But they, all alike, began to make excuses. The first said, well, I've just bought a field, and I must go and see it. I got to go check this out. Please excuse me. Another said, I've just bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I need to go and try it out. Or did he just get him a new garden tractor, and he had to go and make sure it was all had fueled up and ready to go for the next day? Still another said, I have just gotten married, so I can't come. You know, it's obvious I can't. Now I have to do what my wife says. Uh-oh, I might get in trouble now. The servants came back and reported and said to the owner of the house, when they told him, he was angry. And he ordered the servants to go out quickly into the streets and the alleys and the towns. He said, go out in the town. Go down and even get the crippled guy that sits on the corner with a tin can. They get the poor and the crippled, the blind and the lame. Sir, the servants said, what you ordered has been done. They went out and did that. And there was still room. There's still leftover hors d'oeuvres, leftover main courses. We're going to have too much. Then the master told his servant, go out into the roads and the countries. Get out on 64. Go out on Interstate 70. Stop some traffic. Get out there. Make them come in. Stop them. So that my house will be full. I tell you, not one of these men who were invited will get a taste of my banquet. How terrible for an earthly thing we're going to miss. We're going to miss what God has for us. We're going to miss the heaven. We're going to be in a place that was not created for us. It's a place where only Satan and his helpers are to be. But now, just exactly how and what is the cost of being a watchman? Now that was just my introduction. What's the I've learned at her feet here. That's the introduction sometimes is more interesting and a little more informative than the body of the message. So we want to think about how important it is. He says he's explaining here how we can keep from missing. Let's go on and read just a little further here in Luke 14. And he's speaking to, after he left there, it says, large crowds were traveling with Jesus, and he turned to them and said, if anyone comes to me, this is some hard stuff now. You can see where God directed Ezekiel, and he's going to tell these folks some hard things because they have traditions they go by, taking care of family and loved ones. But here Jesus, this man, he's telling them, he says, if anyone comes after me and does not hate his father and mother, his wife, and his children, how many of us will say, oh, well, I don't know if I can do that or not. My children come first. I don't know if I can. I can't go to the Philippines. No, I can't go to that meeting. I can't participate in this activity because, well, Johnny is having a soccer game and Susie is going to be in a play. My children come first. Here he says, if you don't hate your children, and brothers and sisters. Oh, and even your own life. He cannot be my disciple. You can't be my watchman. You won't enter in. You won't participate in any of the banquet I have set for you. That's serious stuff. We need to apply these things to our lives today. He says in 27, and anyone who does not carry his cross, oh, help us, Jesus. And anyone who does not carry his cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. What's the cross? The cross is, my cross is different from pastors. My cross is different from anyone else's. My cross is designed for me, just as your cross is designed for you. But there's some things that are common. If we don't have hands to grasp that cross, we can't carry it. We have to have, and it's almost too easy to say, but if I don't have this hand of self-denial, what did he say? If any man comes after me and does not hate his father, mother, wife, and even his own life, and his children, all that he's about, if I don't deny myself, and then what I want, I have to obey what I'm told, what the Holy Spirit tells me. The hands of self-denial and obedience is the only way we're going to be able to hold the cross. We're going to be able to pick it up. Then we're on a journey. Then all we have to do is follow. The Lord knows the way through the wilderness. All we have to do is follow. But now that following comes at a cost, a great cost. We have to deny ourselves. Now, how much fun is that? It's going to be a great payday because we're going to get to go to the banquet, folks. We're going to get to participate in everlasting. What was that? Those things that are everlasting. We're going to miss that everlasting judgment, but really we're going to enjoy the judgment because we'll be judged faithful. And he'll say, oh, you're my servant. Come on in. But we'll miss that judgment if we deny ourselves and obey. We'll miss that judgment that is everlasting, that says, I don't think I ever knew. Oh, you say you healed people? You say you cast out devils? Oh, I remember. Yeah, you was telling me what someone else was telling me, that they cast out devils and that they were with you. They were in your ministry. Ministry? Folks, if you're not obeying God, this is the wrong place for you. You got to obey God. We're going to enjoy that everlasting joy. Oh, it's going to be great. And we'll have that everlasting salvation that he spoke of, that Isaiah spoke of in 45 and 17. Oh, his everlasting kindness. And the mercy. It's going to last forever. And his covenant is sure. If God says it, you can bank on it. It's going to be there. You're going to be in the light of the Lord forever. All of those things that Isaiah spoke of so long ago, we're going to enjoy if we're faithful, if we just have enough self-denial. Now, it's hard. I've tried this for a while. I've had setbacks. And I was reminded that, I started this trip in 71 on my birthday. And since then, I've had a few setbacks, a few things where, like Charlie was preaching here the other day, I was on the wrong side of the line. I'm sure thankful that I got back on this other side. Because it's so easy to fall into temptation or just, it's not going to hurt anything. Just like the serpent told Eve, hey, look, it tastes good. Why, it's refreshing. Have a bite. Look how wonderful. Good for knowledge. Yeah, you'll just learn all kinds of things. She didn't have an answer for him. She should have just said, well, I'm not going to do it. And he would come back with a rebuttal if she wanted to talk with him. Well, why not? Look, all these benefits of it, of this self-life. Look at the benefits of not doing what God says. And she could say, well, I'm not going to do it because God said not to do it. It's just that simple. Just do as you're told. What? That means she was on the one hand denying, but she was also obeying. Self-denial and obedience. And that would let her take up her cross and follow. That's what we have to do if we're going to make it. Now, on down in 14, we can read let's start at 32. Well, we can start. We have a good example. David, pastor's husband, David could tell you about this. What if we don't plan a little bit? He's going to build a house, start on a job. He's got to figure the materials. He's got to get it all ready. That takes a little bit of effort. He's got to get ready, get it all ready. Then the same thing about going to war. He talks about in 31, or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king, will he not sit down first and consider whether he's able, with the 10,000 men he's got, to defeat the guy with 20,000? He better have some strategy, better have a few extra missiles or tanks, or have some friends that he can call in to make up the difference in the numbers. He's going to be in trouble. He's not just going to not think about his having to humble himself and go to a friend and ask him, say, hey, we need to make a pact here to defeat this enemy. Or even worse, go to the enemy and say, what's our differences here? Why can't we come together on this? That might be harder still. But that's what he's explaining to you. And he says, in the same way, in 33, any of you who does not give up everything he has cannot be my disciple. You mean we have to give up everything? We have to deny ourselves that much? Well, I'm just the messenger here. Don't shoot me. Because it's just the Bible. And he followed that verse with, he's talking about the salt is good, but if it loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It's not fit for anything. Might as well put it in, it says here, in the manure pile. Be thrown out. And then he says, he who has ears to hear, let him hear. Now it's really going to be, have you ever thought about the parable that Jesus said about come in through the narrow way, get in that eye of that needle, it says. It's harder for a rich man, easier for a camel to go through the needle, eye of the needle. And that's not exactly what that means, but you'd have to take the rope, the camel's hair rope apart, stick through that eye of a needle. That takes a long time and a lot of effort. And then make it up into a rope again on the other side is one illustration of it. But the way is so straight. He says, straight is the gate and narrow is the way, and few there be that find it. And the reason that it is few, now I don't know what the number would be because there's been trillions of people on earth, so it could be a great number, but it's still going to be few, because in the totality of everything, just think about Noah's day. It was just those few folks on the ark that made it, and the rest of them didn't. But and there were some that made it that lived in Noah's day because they had passed on before the flood. But think about what is going to keep us from getting through the door. And I've said this before, I can take a 8-foot 2x4 and I can carry it around in here pretty good. But I start going through the door, if I don't carry it right, it's going to hang up. I can't hold it this way and get through the door. Well, it's not going to be that obvious, folks. The little thing that we think is little and we hide so much, that little bit of resentment, that little bit of, or a great bit of resentment that we've kept hid and we've kept to ourselves. It's a thing that is too big to get through the gate. You can't make it in with the least bit of resentment, the least bit of self-pride, the least bit of just say disobedience. And no one knows about it but me. There's things that I have done, places where I have failed. Nancy doesn't know it. Now, other than God, she knows the most about me. All of the things about me that I've done, she thinks. But she doesn't know everything. Now, I've always been faithful. Don't get me wrong. But these disobediences in our lives, and they are, let me tell you, how about the person? Now, all of us can imagine a person that we least like, whether they have done something bad to us or whether they neglected to do something good for us. Have you forgiven them? Can you say you love them? That person that has done the worst thing to you, that person that in your quietness of your contemplating the day's adventures, and we all have them. Some of us have a few more adventures than it. Reggie has adventures. I can go and talk to her. I mean, it's better than watching cops on TV. It's better. It's amazing the adventures she gets in. It's amazing, folks. But the things that we go through in a day's time or a week's time, and people that we come in contact with, little things that rub us wrong, and we want to really not hold them close to our hearts. We don't want to harbor any kind of unforgiveness, any kind of a resentment. That little bit of unforgiveness. Well, I really hate this person. He did such and such to me, and he talks about so and so, and he said this bad thing about somebody, and I don't like him, so I'm not going to have anything to do with him. See him coming down the street, go the other side. If you have to be beside him, don't speak. Put the cold shoulder to him. No, it won't go through the door. It's just like the old movie of the Three Stooges. They're trying to take that board through the door, and here's Larry. Come on, boys. And here's Curly. I look the most like him. Carrying that 2x4, going through the door. Can't make it. It won't get through there. That little bit of unforgiveness in my life is just as big as that 2x4 carrying sideways. We have to forgive. We have to get past this thing of unforgiveness. We must be strong enough, courageous enough, self-denying enough. There it is. He said, if any man comes after me, he's going to have to deny himself and obey. He's going to have to pick up the cross, and he's going to follow me. Take his cross. My cross is a little bit different. I've had to forgive people. I've had to talk to people. It's not any fun, folks. You know it. I don't think I'm unique to this striving to walk with God. There's always people out there that's going to jab us a little bit and not love us like, if everybody in my day and week was like these folks that I'm talking to, and it's on the other side of out there in the net listening to us, why, I'd just have a time. It'd be great. Why, it'd be so good. But I've found out that once I deny myself and obey, that thing of feeling like you can jump over a wall and run through a troop, that's a reward here because you've got victory on the enemy. The enemy hasn't. Just think, it's a battle, folks. One of my friends, I've told him over and over. He's a wonderful Christian man, and he's a worker, just like I am. He knows a little more and has a little more responsibility, and he and I will be someplace, and it'll come up on him just like I've heard Dave speak about. People will demand things and out of line, and they don't think they need to pay for them. And this man will say, I don't know what to do about this. And I said, well, just remember, it's a test, and you're going to pass it. Oh yeah. He said, I got to pass it. So we have to dare to be courageous enough and strong enough and prayerful enough to say, okay, I'll deny myself. Yeah, I hear you. Most of the time, the denying ourselves comes after the word saying, do this, now obey me, and deny yourself, and everything's going to be better. And even if you don't feel better right then, it will come. So remember, the one that you here's an easy way to remember it. I can't remember who I heard say this, but I'll take it from them. In your memories, think about the one that you esteem the least, the one that you like the least. If you quantify that liking or that esteeming, that love that you have for that person, the one that's least on your list, that's how much you love God. That's how much that's your capacity. Is your capacity this much, or is your capacity that much? We need to have a big capacity, because Jesus suffered a lot for us. And our capacity to love Him, praise Him, appreciate what He has done for us needs to be great. It doesn't need to be as small as that person that we have not forgiven. That love that we have for them, we need it to be larger than that. So we need to get these things loose. Get them loose. And don't worry, Nancy will preach this back to me, and right quick. I thank the Lord for someone that will, she is courageous, and then she'll let me know, now, what did you just say? You ought not say that. And it might just be something that I'm pointing out, but it's a negative. And I don't need to be pointing those things out. I need to be speaking positives. We all need to be speaking positives, even about our enemies. How many times have you thought of that verse where Jesus said, He instructed us, love your enemies and pray for them? Well, I tell you what, I want to defeat my enemies. I want to crush them. My enemies. See, that's the carnal. That's the carnal speaking. We need to forgive our enemies. We need to pray for them. And as my wife has instructed me, she said, I told her how hard it was, this thing about loving my enemies and praying for them. And she said, well, you need to pray for them. I said, I want to defeat them. She said, no, pray for them and pray for them that they'll get saved. Then they'll be on our side. That's okay. That is the way we should really approach things. But I wanted us to know how we can get hold of the cross and follow Jesus. Now, that is my assignment. I have given it, so I'm not going to be responsible if you don't do it. So I'm declaring that. So I have been the faithful watchman in this instance. Now, Pastor and the different ones that are going with her that are here, it'd be a good idea for them to come up front, and we have prayer for them before they leave. It's a kind of important, and I'd like for Nick to, Pastor Nick, to come up and pray for them. Get them, you'll have to get Maria. She's in the back, I think. Yeah, oh yes. Everyone that's going on the trip. Doesn't matter what, if they're going, we want to have a special prayer, but Nick, thou art the man. And this is an important thing. Even before he prays, I would pray that every nut, bolt, rivet in the name of Jesus that's in any machinery, any aircraft, any kind of a vehicle that is involved in this journey that you're on, everything, even the escalators you're going to ride, the treads that you will be riding on, that every nut and bolt, every fiber in them will perform exactly as they're designed to perform. It's important that all of these things work properly. Okay, Nick, I just want to pray that in the name of Jesus by the power of His blood.